Baizu's so hard to rank. You said Baizu first? Characters that are like really good but people don't use too often are really hard to rank. Cause that's the thing. He's pretty good, but nobody really uses him. So I think you assume C0 R1, and then if you have to go beyond that, then that's like, you know what I mean? That's gonna be like a factor to consider. What is it? His healing is good. He's in a bunch of teams, but he's never like the best of what he does, I feel. And that's like the biggest like quote unquote downside. That's not really a downside. It's more like that is what he is. Is that like he's good, but he's not insane. How to do C6 4-stars? Because I do think C6 4-stars is an interesting thing. A 4-star just needs like their C1 or their C2. That's like where I would grade them based on. But if they specifically need their C6, that's like a factor to consider of like, you know, for or against type situation. For example, like Sarah, right? That would work against Sarah because Sarah's only usable until you get that C6. I would say D-Look is the definition of what a B+ is, right? I feel like I would consider that what like a B+ is, right? Or maybe even a B. No. See, these ones are hard. You guys are giving me the hard ones to start. It's like you're talking your Cloud Retainers, you're talking your Farinas, things like that. But he can still work well because of those characters, right? Yeah, I think that's comfy. That's comfy enough. Between A+ and A, because Farina does exist, because just because she's one of the best with Farina doesn't mean that she's the most optimal to take with Farina every single time. I think that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Very easy to play, very effective, very powerful. Farina makes her extremely useful because you can insta-stack with her and Farina. Her C2 is super good, true, which people will get eventually. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Honestly, if that C2 is C1, I might have put her up here. Because yeah, I agree that attack speed is pretty nice. Jean is a bit more flexible than Baizu. Yeah, to be honest, if I was ranking it mid-rank, I would easily do that. Like, without doubt, I would do that. He's definitely around, probably not minus. I wouldn't put it minus because his national team is really, really good. Where's Tula? We got a Tula in here. I think he's really nice. I mean, here is fine. Here is fine as well. Yeah, Cloud Retainer I think is very insane. She's like Jean. She heals a little bit slower, but also you open up plunging and also Catalyst. So, one of these two, either A+ or S. Viridescent, one of the best sets in the game. Healing is great. Farina makes her even better. Plunging is an option, which makes any Claymore character default a good character. And then, yeah, she's a team heal, so she's also good with Farina. Yeah, she's insane. Xinyan, she's a weird one. She's a weird one. Decently open to her now, like Mualani. You can use her with Mualani, but like it's like you can. It's never like optimal. And the Cloud Retainer is always there to give her like a type of party. Things are enough to bring her to a plus, though. Her unique attributes. I'll do a D rank after this to show a good example of what I mean by that. But like she's plenty usable, and then like her unique attribute like puts it. Gives her something. Like you can put her in Mualani if you want to. Where is that loser? Let me put a D rank here just to I can show an example of a D rank. Yeah, I would put Aloy there. You can still use Aloy if you desire to. That's why I wouldn't put Aloy. Even I wouldn't put Aloy in F because you still can use her depending on what the other three characters are. But you know you can do that for every single character in this video game. But even to functionally use her, you gotta kind of bend over backwards. So put her there. Gula Cryo Battery. True. What is it? If you want to play her as DPS, you can. There's plenty of teammates to use her with. She does have a shield option, which can be pretty cool. But a shield in itself isn't, like, doing too much. If C4 is required, then I think this is fine. Then if C4 is a requirement, then I think this is fine. I mentioned Eula, right? Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm fine with this. Superconduct kind of is lame. Physical's kind of lame. But Eula herself, I think her numbers are fine, honestly. I think Eula herself, her numbers are perfectly fine. Fridge is a thing as well that she's actually pretty good in. But yeah, her unique traits are more unfortunate negatives than positive. Okay, yeah, Clarend is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. A lot of good teams. You got your Overload, you got Aggravate. You can even do straightforward Electro DPS, although I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. She doesn't need any constellations. If you put constellations on, she just gets better. She's great. She's easy to build too. That's true. She's also easy to build. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Bennett's still insane. Bennett will never not be insane. Bennett got better because Mawika now exists. Now that Mawika exists and Bennett's still her best teammate. Bennett's not going anywhere. He's still the best character. One of the best healers still. One of the best buffers. He's also a battery too. You can also just make him a battery because his E skill has like some of the lowest cooldowns and gives a lot of particles. Yeah. Bennett was a mistake. Kinda. Yeah. And Bennett becomes bad, the meta's cooked. Yeah, if Bennett becomes bad, what the heck happened? Emily. Yeah, I mean, like, damage is good. Burning is, like, kind of a weird reaction. But you can use it plenty. It's plenty strong. You're basically her niche. She's a little too niche for now. Yeah, I think a minus. She's nice off-field. She does a lot of good damage. But, like, she's never in any best team. Except Kaniche, maybe. Amber. Yeah, I mean, you can make her do stuff. But you really gotta force it. Amber's nuke is locked with C4. Oh. That's funny. Leon is still absolutely insane to this day. Some of the best Hydra application. Very easy to play. Good buffer too. She's great. Ilana's great. Very, very good character. Got better with this region. I feel like a lot of the... What is it? Yeah, Mawika also makes her better. Mawika also makes her even better. It's great. It's great. Vaporize Mawika with Yelan. Absolutely fantastic. Good skill, good burst, good buffs. Hydra is insane as like an application type character. And her application's insane. Yeah, Hu Tao is really good. The only struggle Hu Tao has is that against groups... Hu Tao's not the best. Farina made her a little bit better. Even Cloud Retainer made her better too. Cloud Retainer made it so you don't need the C1, which helps her a lot as well. Main issue with Hu Tao is how expensive she is to build, especially with weapons. That's fair. Yeah, I think her free-to-play options are a bit wanting, unless you get lucky with like a Dragon's Bane or something. We waited long enough. Let's do Mawika. Alright, yeah, she's insane. Mawika's insane. She does absolutely insane damage. Codex makes her one of the easiest characters to build. Her off-fielding is like really crazy. Not many people are talking about her off-fielding. Her off-fielding is really good. Hitting 3 enemies at once is fantastic. You don't got to worry about recharge like Shunling. Any place where you could have put a Shunling, you could now put a Mawika if you want to. And you don't have to build her as difficultly as you did Shunling. You just slap like Cinder City and you're chilling. And she also buffs too. She can also buff. Mawika's insane. I'll even put her at the top just because Archon. That's cool. She's insane. Cinder City's insane. Mawika's insane. I'm just talking about the off-fielding. The off-fielding alone is like good. Now she main DPS. Also insane. Her damage is great. Very easy to play. Plenty of good free-to-play weapons. C0R1 is super strong. It is super duper strong. Player in Melt, player in Vaporize, player in, I don't know, Mono Pyro if you want to. I think Shunling is still taking it technically because Shunling cheats and ignores like internal cooldown of like reactions or whatever. I don't think Mawika does that. I'm 99% sure Mawika can't do that. So it's like, you know, I think if you're hard speedrunning or something like that, like Shunling is still taking it, but like you still can put Mawika there in places where you would put Shunling. And again, she is buffing too. Also, the whole like, oh, you need a Natlan character to build gauge for her. It's not really that much of an issue. If you just put one Natlan character there, you can get full gauge perfectly easily. Even if you don't have a Natlan character there, you can at least get half burst consistently enough that you can use her perfectly fine. Damage, insane. On field or off field, doesn't matter. Her buff is nice. Not too difficult to play her. I think people being afraid that you need Natlan characters is an unfounded fear. I don't think that fear is real. Obviously, if you put a Natlan character with her, she's going to do better, but you do not need a Natlan character. There are plenty of teams you can play without a Natlan character. She's insane. I don't think she's as universal as, like, Farina, for example, but she's fantastic. Yeah, Farina's still insane to this day. To this day, one of the best buffers in the game. There are 10 million billion teams that use Farina. I can actually use the usage charts this time if we're going to rank Farina. Yeah, Farina's the top of this usage chart. Absolutely redonkulous character. Absolutely redonkulous character. My goodness. You can't overstate that enough. Ridiculous character. Absolutely ridiculous. So many teams. So many different ways to play her. Insane buffs. Good damage, too. Insane buffs with good damage, too. Easily, like, top 3 characters of this game, Farina. I'm still gonna keep Malvika in the front because Archon. I mean, what is it? Most recent Archon. And just in case people don't actually watch the full thing and they're just like, oh my goodness, she said Malvika is better than Farina. Well, I'm gonna comment. Farazan and B. I mean, she's the best Anemo buffer though. That I would say maybe would keep Farazan a little bit lower than I would initially expect. Is that one of the best Anemo DPS right now? Chaska doesn't use her. But I don't think it necessarily works against her. If we're talking about future proofing as well, she is the best Anemo buffer if you're doing Anemo damage. So I think I would put her right here. I think if she was like Sarah and you needed C6, I would put her down here. I think B plus is where I would put those characters where it's like, oh, it's the best buffer in X, Y, and Z, but maybe you would need C plus. I mean C6 is I would put them kind of like this range. But because you don't need that, I think I would just keep her right there. Because, yeah, she's the best Anemo buffer. That's it. In my experience, getting ER with Farazan is not that hard. Yeah, you just get more recharge. Like, it's annoying because RNG, but you just get more recharge. Knight is very, very strong, but sometimes he can be so awkward. The hardest place to play these characters is like something like Abyss, where everything is flat. It's fine, because his damage is still really good. Because he is so annoying to play, and he works against so many teammates that would be with him. He works against characters like Bennett, who would be really good with him because he needs to do burning. So you need pyro. So it's like, okay, let's have Bennett here. But sometimes he just wibble wobbles out of Bennett's burst. But I guess you do assume optimal play. This one's weird. But he hits very, very hard. I guess I would need to see that more, I suppose. Yeah, I guess I would need to see that more. Because the way things I've seen with Knight is just his classic, like, you know, burning teams or whatever, what have you. Things that you would most often use with Knight. His classic burning teams, just doing dendro damage in general, right? That's usually what I see. So I think based on that, I would put him right here. He is very strong, he hits very hard, but sometimes he just doesn't work with, like, the characters that you may have. And, like, one of his best teammates is, like, Emily, which is, like, a character you might not always have. Yeah, there's not too many teams I feel like you can play into. Yeah, see, somebody already thinks I put Malvika above Farina. No, I think Farina's better than Malvika, but I just wanted to put Malvika there. Lenny's big struggle is, like, he needing more pyro characters can be pretty tough, but he does do good damage if you make him work. Needing 3 pyro characters is pretty rough. Actually, I wonder how he is with Malvika. He hits very hard. The teams are very inflexible, though. I think maybe I would need to see more of Lenny to be, like, influenced to put him higher. Shalonen's insane. Absolutely ridiculous. She's ridiculous. It's awe-inspiring that they made her as crazy as she is. So we're assuming, if we assume C0R1, she is, what is it? On par with C0, she's on par with Kazuha, where she's a side grade. It's just depending on what you want. Do you want the heal that she provides, or do you want the gathering that Kaza provides? At C0, they're similar. At C2, it's insane how insane she can get. Yeah, at C2, I do agree. At C2, she invalidates Kazuha's existence. Pre-C2, she's a side grade. I think pre-C2, if you compare her with Verdes and Kazuha, and I've done the test, and her buffs last longer too. But Kazuha's buff is more powerful, and that's why it evens out, is because hers lasts for a longer time, but Kazuha's is more powerful, and then of course Kazuha's has the gathering, and he does good damage, and she has her healing and a little bit of crystallized shielding, and she can do like Night Soul stuff for like Malvika, for example. But yeah, she's insane. Insane buffs, insane debuffs. Cinder City's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, there's the only bad thing about her is that if you want to play her in Geo, you can only play 2 Geo characters. That's the only bad thing about her, is that they force her to be DPS with 3 or more Geo. I think Goru is like Farazan, right? I think Goru is like Farazan, where he's like the best Geo buffer. But I will say I'm going to. It's interesting. So that's the only reason I would put him down under Farazan, because Farazan just needs to exist, and then she goes crazy. And that's true, he's also cheeks at C0. That's a big factor. I'm actually going to put him even more down. He is the best Geo buffer. Geo in general, like, isn't too crazy. The craziest Geo character, who's Navia, doesn't even use him. And then, like, yeah, he does need constellations to get really good value. Yeah, Albedo doesn't do much, unfortunately. I think he can share EM. Yeah, I don't know. Especially with Shiori existing, it's really hard to like give him more than this. That's it. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. You could use him. Definitely, there's definitely parties where you can use him if you build him, but I wouldn't. I probably wouldn't. I probably wouldn't recommend it either. Shiori should be next. Okay, let's go the exact opposite direction. She is very very strong. Not the tippy top. I would not put her at the tippy top. But she's great. I think right now, Flex Instinct, I would put her there. I would put her there on Instinct. Very good off fielder, one of the strongest off fielders. Plenty strong. Of course, if you get the C1, she gets super duper insane. But even at C0, she's perfectly fine. People found out recently, like the quote unquote wheelchair comp with her and Shallonen makes her even more ridiculous, redonkulous. That's really good. Yeah, and then you have the wheelchair as an option. Yeah. I think this is fine. I think this is fine. Fischl's still insane. I'd slap her right there. I think Fischl's insane. Best aggravate character still. I think there's a certain other character here that has encroached on her position, that she's not as good as she was before this character because of this character existing, but she is still the tippity top for aggravate. If you get the C6, ridiculous. And then, yeah, she's just good. Good. Is it Auroron? It is indeed. And let's do it right now. Auroron is like Fischl, but if you gave Fischl Cinder City and a Night Soul gauge, and that's all he needed. He just needs Cinder City and a Night Soul gauge, and he just goes to town. You know, I'll put him up here. To be honest with you, just so I can show the difference. Like, the places where you can slap in Auroron is like many. You can slap him in a bunch of different teams. He will work the best in Electro Charge because he's kind of made for Electro Charge. But you can put him in like Overload with like Chevres. You can put him in Overload like with Chevres and things like that. I mean, he's just Fischl, but it can buff the team. I mean, you give Fischl a set that can buff the team. It's like, yeah, it's going to be even more ridiculous. Like, he's great. He's great. He's great. He's great. Doesn't need constellations. If he gets some, he gets a little bit better. And yeah, he's fantastic. Mualani, you know, let's do Mualani as well. Is this the first? No, Malwika's there. Okay, yeah, this is the first pure DPS. Yeah, she is redonkulous. I'd put her up there. In terms of pure DPS, I think she deserves to be up there. Her one hits are some of the strongest one hits in the game. Bit clunky to play, like kind of like what was it? Kinich. Definitely not as clunky as him though. But yeah, and she hits harder than Kinich. She is, my goodness. Yeah, she's the queen of the one shots. She might be the best single target character in this game. She struggles against like multi enemies, but that doesn't mean she's bad. She's great. She's great. And she's Hawaiian. That's true. That's true. Hazo's fine. No, maybe a little bit higher. Because you can... The thing with Hazo is like he's a Nemo, so he's never going to be bad. You can play him as DPS if you want to. But you can also just kind of play him as support with Viridescent, and he's fine. I put him with Yanfei? I would not. I think Viridescent is a lot better than than anything Yanfei can do. Lynette is also carried by being a Nemo. All right, let's get Lynette in here. You are right. She is just a Nemo, and being just a Nemo is one of the best things you can be. Viridescent is just so powerful. What does Lynette even do besides a Nemo? Not much else. That's it. That's all she really does. Minimum being a Nemo is really good, and apparently her damage is not too shabby. Okay. Ganyu, she's still fine, I guess. Like, the only bad part about Ganyu is that they're just better characters than Ganyu, but she's not bad, right? Pyro's still pretty insane. Malwika's out, so I assume she can be pretty good with Malwika. I think that's just slightly too high for her. I do think Linny and Emily are just better. I would agree. I would agree based on who else is also in that tier. Good old Rio Thesley. There's an idea out there that you need C1 Rio Thesley to make him work. This is not true. You can make Risley work at C0. It's annoying. Sometimes it takes more stamina, but you can do it perfectly fine. Risley's fine. I think Risley's perfectly fine. He's very strong. But Malwika did come out, and that can work with him pretty well. He's got plenty of options. You can play him in, like, double pyro fine. You can play him with Farina, and he's, like, absolutely fantastic, right? Like, he's great. I think he's great. I don't know where this weird idea that you need C1 is. Just use stamina consumption food. Or just do, like, jump cancels. Like, people can jump cancel on Hu Tao and not complain. I don't know why people complain about C0 Risley, like, you can't just jump cancel. He's great. Yeah, I think I'd bump him up. He's great. Beto is kind of a rough one because there's not necessarily anything bad with her. It's just that her strengths aren't really utilized very well. But Beto is definitely a character that like you're picking early on when you have no other options and you want to do something like a Neuvillette type of idea. Well, it's nice to have a shield and there's you can you're fighting multiple enemies, but her strengths don't necessarily like it's not necessarily one that you would choose. Where is Rosaria? There she is. Cryofield's fine. There's just not many teams that are using Cryofield. That's about it. She's very flexible, very easy to play. You can slap her on any team if you need a Cryofield, but who's using a Cryofield? That's the only thing. It's just who's using a Cryofield right now. That's it. She's like Beto in a way. Diona, I would say pretty similar. Yeah, but she can heal and shield, which can be a little bit more useful. She can heal, she can shield, she can do a Cryofield. I don't think any of that is necessarily... Well, yeah, I guess... Yeah, Cryo's weird. Wander... He's pretty solid, honestly. He's honestly very solid. He's really strong. There's plenty of teams you can play him in. You can play him in a national-style team. You can play him with Farazen, with Bennett Shenling. You can play him with, like, Yalan. Yeah, there's plenty of teams you can play him in. He's very flexible. You do get punished when you play him if you're not sure how to play him well, but I think if you assume optimal play, I think it's fantastic. Yeah, I think maybe these guys are a little bit more consistent. But there's nothing wrong with him. Yeah, I think any day of the week I could put him either or. I'm gonna keep him up here just so the Xiao mains can get mad at me. I'm joking. I do think he's better than Xiao. In general. Xiao can get better than him, but you need a whole nother character for that. You need Cloud Retainer for that one. But I think you can put him down here any day. You could even put him here, honestly, any day of the week. I think he can do in any of the tiers. I think depending on who's playing them and how they're playing them, he can be in any one of these three. But I'll put him in that one because I think he's great. Charlotte's great. Charlotte's great. Healing is there. I don't think you struggle too hard with particles. It is a team heal, so that works really well with Farina. The worst part about her is being cryo. That's probably the worst part about her is being cryo. But yeah, team heal's good. She's pretty flexible to play. She's good. What's her weapon? Is her weapon Catalyst? Dragon Slayer? Also an option, I suppose. Yeah, she's good. She's fine. If we're assuming, right? If we assume C0, R1, and Cloud Retainer is a factor to make him good, man, honestly, I would put him right here. If you don't have Cloud Retainer, my guy struggles. He's crying. But I will say, when you get her, she is pretty ridiculous. Like, if I was judging based on, like, perfect scenario, exactly what this character wants, like, honestly, Xiao is really hard. Like, he hits really well. Like, you could maybe even put him up here, maybe. But at least here, like, minimum here with Cloud Retainer. But that is a factor to consider. So I think right there would be enough, I feel. But yeah, needing a whole nother character is pretty... Needing a whole nother character who isn't used very frequently is like more heavy, if that makes sense. Because people might say like, oh, a lot of characters would want like Farina and like whatever, what have you, right? And it's just like, oh, but you put Cloud Retainer this high, and it's just like, well, there's a difference between what a character is capable of and like how frequently somebody would pick them up. I think those are two separate kind of things. A lot of people are more frequently going to pick up Farina than they are going to pick up Cloud Retainer. Even though Cloud Retainer is very good, not many people have picked her up. Maximum potential, because I think that's a very, very different thing. Maximum potential is very, very different than just like standard, right? I think if the standardization is C0R1, that's the standardization for the 5 stars is C0R1. And then if you need something extreme, you gotta factor that in. Silai's also insane. She's really good. Cinder City, insane. Having Night Soul is great. She makes melts really, really, really good. Yeah, one of these two. Bare minimum here, I would say. I would say bare minimum right there. She's really great because she's specifically for Pyro and Hydro. But if you are those Pyro and Hydro characters, you feel like she's right here. That's for sure. I mean, I don't know. New list. Might as well put her up there, right? Get the new character hype going on. I'm fine with that. Get a bit more new character hype. Yeah, I'll put her there for now. I think maybe realistically I would put her down here. Just because I think the characters up here are just even more insane. But sure, why not? If you're Pyro and Hydro, you have C Lolly, your character is just better. Yeah, that's also true. She revived Freeze. Freeze went from being bad to being great with her. That's a good point. That's actually a really good point. Navia's great. Absolutely fantastic character. Very good damage. Very easy to play. Very strong. Plenty of good teams to use her in. Yeah, she's great. Shalonen's also new. That also helps her. She got a little bit of a buff with Shalonen. Play Navia, Shalonen, Bennett, Shunling. Gonna go to the races with that. It's gonna be insane. Play Navia, Farina, Shalonen, like Bennett or something like that. You're also gonna go to the races with that. We'll put her next to Thorant. Why not, right? I need to do a tally how many people think I'm putting Malvika ahead of Farina. This is great. That's 2 people so far. No, I just put Malvika. The tiers are not ranked in between the characters. But I also think it's funny if people think that I think that Malvika is better than Farina. Farina is definitely better than Malvika. Kokomi, she's good. There's plenty of teams Kokomi's working in, but is Kokomi ever the best? I guess is my big thing. Is Kokomi ever the best? When you compare Kokomi to other healers, especially with Farina, she falls apart. Only single target heals, unless you burst, yeah. And even then, she isn't building Farina that fast. What she personally brings to the table, even with Farina into account, isn't enough that I would put her up higher. She's not a bad character at all, and if you have her, there's plenty of teams you can use her in. Characters, okay, she's there. Some people are still using Kokomi. I think you theoretically could put her in like any of these 1, 2, 3s. Maybe. I think depending on how much experience you have with her, but I'm gonna personally put her lower than this is like average. I'm gonna put her a bit lower than average. Look, listen, most of this list is like S, A, and B. Like it's already super specific. Like S is like these 2 together. A is 3 tiers in one. B is like 2 tiers. Most of these characters are like A and up. They're already so close together anyway. Shino. You know what I know. It's Sino. Sino is a very okay character. Yeah, like that's the thing. Like he's good, but nothing is really working with what he wants to do, except for like Nahida and like Baizu. Because yeah, Xiao's saving grace is that Cloud Retainer. Sino doesn't have a saving grace. He has things you can do, but those things you can do are pretty premium options. He does not. I can confidently say I don't think he has a free-to-play team. Like, I think you can scrounge together a free-to-play team, but I don't think anybody in good faith would recommend a hard free-to-play team. I think you could definitely scrounge one together, but I don't know if you would, like, recommend it. I don't know if anybody would recommend it. You can, but you can't with anybody. You know what I mean? You can't with anybody. Cloud Retainer skyrockets Xiao. Even with his premium options, he's just, like, super solid. Shunling, oh my goodness, the Pyro Archon is gonna power creep Shunling. What are we gonna do? No, they didn't. Even if they power creep Shunling, guess what? Then you would have had 2 Shunling. This character is ridiculous. There's not gonna be another character that ignores internal cooldown. They're not gonna make one. Shunlings are donkulous. You can also just use them together. You can also just do that. This character's ridiculous. Yeah, oh boy, 2K, exactly. It's like, I would say, like, me personally, I think you do need to do more testing. I think Malvika is better than Shunling because you don't need to worry about, like, energy, and she can buff the team. Shunling is ridiculous. She's so strong for no reason. She is so strong for no reason. She ignores the inherent cooldown that the game has on reactions. She literally, like, breaks the game, legitimately. You can't stop the Trio of Terror. Speaking of Trio of Terror, let's get the third one on here. Let's get the third one on here. We got Shinkyu. Shinkyu's still ridiculous. He's not going anywhere either. I don't think anybody thought he was going anywhere. He's not going anywhere. I just put him there to show him on screen. Yeah, the monster. This is the monster. Yeah, there you go. That's the monster trio. The monster trio of 4 stars. They're not going anywhere ever. They're never going anywhere. If they start going somewhere, like something's wrong with the game. They're never going anywhere. They're staying up here regardless. Yeah, what is it? Hydra application, so strong. He's very strong in general. The only bad thing about him is that his E is on a pretty high cooldown. So if you don't have Sacrificial Sword or, what is it, Favonius, or slash if your sacrificial doesn't proc or your Favonius doesn't proc, like maybe you're out of the rotation. But that's just like a building thing. Like once you make him work, it's just he's redonkulous. He's redonkulous. The cry Orca is gonna make her better too. Noelle's a strange one. Geo DPS that gets better with Farina. I don't know. I don't know if I would put her beyond this though. Yeah, she is great with Farina. Xiao problem. I'm gonna use that as a phrase when something is dependent on something else. Yeah, it's the Xiao problem. If you didn't need the C6, I would put her there, but because you do, I'll put her down here. Chaska's fantastic. Great. Yeah, I think I would put her up there. Whether or not I put her up here is a good question. Cause she's really strong. She's really, really, really strong. Really strong. Very easy to play. Like, if we're talking the best, like, character a free-to-play player can go for, if we're just talking, like, stats and, like, you were just talking, like, oh, what is a DPS character somebody who's, like, free-to-play can go to no matter what other characters they get? It's got to be Chaska. She's in terms of team building, she's as universal as, like, Niviletta is, maybe a bit better. Because it really is just have a Pyro, have a Cryo, have an Electro, have a Hydro. And, like, of those four, you pick any 3 team members you want, and it'll work pretty well. There's definitely better, characters that she can have over other characters, of course. But even if you just have that, she's still really good. Like, she's very, very flexible. Like, I think she is the most flexible DP. Like, in terms of, like, DPS only, I think she's the most flexible. Like, I think maybe if it settles a bit more, I would put her with them, because I do think it's a very similar archetype to these characters. For sure. She is the most universal, or rather flexible. She is the flexible DPS. I don't know if many people know this. If a character dies in your party, Chaska will still get their bullet. Like, let's say, for example, you put Chaska with, like, Xingqiu. If Xingqiu dies, it doesn't matter. She still gets the Hydro bullet. Like, literally, she still gets the Hydro bullet. Maybe next time I do the list, I might put her back down, but for now, I want to put her up here. Yeah, but I said, Mona is my hot take character. I think Mona's pretty bad. I honestly think Mona's pretty bad. Like, I think what she provides is something very unique, and you can hit certain numbers with it, but, like, yeah, nobody's using her. The only time you're using her is for, like, screenshot. Yeah, Changyun kind of bad. Yeah, there's nothing really he's doing. Cool. He used to be using National, but there's just better characters now. That's it. Kaza is great. Again, if we're assuming C0, R1, fantastic. Viridescence, ridiculous. His Gathering is still the best in the game, I think. Yeah, I think his Gathering is still the best in the game. Swirling is good. He's strong, does good damage. Viridescence broken. He's great. I think if constellations are not a factor, he's a side grade to whatchamacallit, Shallonen. I think with constellations, Shallonen's better. But yeah, they're side grades of each other, which it's good. I think I prefer if Genshin does more side grades than they do power creep. So yeah, he's still 67%. Even with Shallonen like being like better with constellations, he's still used very free. 4-star Kazuha? Okay, let's do Sucrose. Sucrose is fantastic. She's great. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, Viridescence broken. She is a catalyst, so you can run Dragon Slayer. Her Anemo application is good. Her Gathering is at least decent. What else? She's just great. She's just fantastic. She's fantastic. The only bad part about her is that they're just better Anemo character. Oh, the Kaza exists. But no, she's fantastic. And she can EM share too. Does she need a constellation to EM share? I don't remember. But I know she can EM share as well, which is pretty nice if you have a character that relies on EM. Let's do Nilou. Nilou, the one build character. I feel like natural Bloom ain't hitting like it used to a little bit. Yeah, she's half of Kokomi's usage in the most recent Abyss. She's half. Bloom ain't like how it used to be. Still strong, but people just don't care to run it anymore. Yeah. I think I saw some good Vaporize builds. Yeah, you can do Vaporize. You can make Vaporize work, for sure. For sure you can make Vaporize work. But what she wants to do is Natural Bloom. She's in a very nice spot. She's got plenty of teams. Like, Electro's been getting a lot of good help with, like, I don't know how well she does in Chevres, but I think you could play her in Chevres. Oh, but she got some great characters. Kitchen gets like one buff per agent. Yeah. Very flexible with the damage. She can burst a lot. She can do a lot of damage. A lot of people experiment with her. If there's plenty of teams you can play with her to make her work. She's surprisingly flexible with like the teams you can put her in, but you do need to put some elbow grease to make her work. You do need to put a bit of elbow grease. We did Kazuha, now let's do Venti. Venti is king of the trash mobs, and that would put him right here. He is good at one thing, and that one thing is not a useful thing, unfortunately. Venti is the king of trash mobs, and that doesn't matter. There's not really any point in time that being the king of trash mobs is a good thing or like is an important thing, but he has that. That's my excuse to use him because I like Venti. I mean, the Twister's cool. It's just that so many enemies don't care about the Twister. They just walk past it. They literally just walk past it. And you got to deal with Genshin's bad targeting. All right, let's do who I think is still the best DPS in this game. Let's do your boy Neuvillette. Neuvillette's the king. He's insane still to this day. It's been a year. He's still good. Are they ranked within the tiers? Nah. But I did put some characters in front of some characters to trigger people. But they're not ranked within the tier. No. Yeah, Neuvillette's insane. Damage, insane. Team builds, there's 10,000 to the moon. Good in groups. Good against bosses. We are doing the C0 R1. He definitely gets a lot better with C1, but he's still insane at C0. You just need to know how to know attack patterns and just move your character and you'll be fine. Yeah, he's insane. Yeah, true. That one person who said Nebulette's a bad character. And he got better with this patch, too. Shilonen made him better. Lali made him better, too. You'll see it zoom out a bit more now because the S rank got higher. Neuvillette gets really boring after a while. I think it's a case by case. I still find Neuvillette really fun just because you can. If you couldn't Beyblade spin, I would agree with you. But listen, sometimes getting on a Neuvillette and Beyblading, it hits different. Sometimes Beyblading hits different. Someone can convince me. I'm putting Ningguang right there. I don't think she's really doing anything. It's just Geo DPS. I don't think Geo DPS is that good. That's it. Chaska should be a lower tier unless she does that much damage. I put Chaska up there solely based on the fact that I think she is the most flexible DPS in the entire game. Because it literally is just have 4 different elements, and then she can do really good damage. I think realistically, maybe I would put her a bit lower, like if I did this again. But at least for right now, I'm just putting her up there based on that merit. And her damage is very good. Lisa. Lisa is a character. You can use Lisa in a couple different teams, but nothing super insane about her. Speaking of, what is it? The Chaska. You can play her with Chaska and do some really fun stuff. You can kind of play her with Shevers a little bit, but yeah, she ain't doing anything that crazy. Kaya, kind of the same thing I would put with, what is Xinyan? Like, nothing about what he does is bad, but who's using a cryo field? He's kind of like Rosaria, but Rosaria's a little bit more flexible. But he's fine. Puts out a nice cryo field. The cryo field does pretty good damage. But who the heck is using a cryo field? Dendro buffed her a lot? Okay, that's fair. No, that's a good... that's fair. That's fair. I'll give her that. She's actually quite good with Dendro, with her debuff or whatever. Chi-Chi. She's not doing anything. I don't think she's doing anything at all. She can't even make particles. She can't really make particles. She has some pretty good healing if you hit the enemy and you get the sigil on them. But that doesn't really do too much. That's it. Honestly, hot take, I think Mona's worse than Chi-Chi. Kind of low-key hot take. But, yeah. Because at least with Farina, like, healing inherently has value because Farina. But, Barbara's fine. Nothing that she does is, like, insane. And I guess you could use it with Farina. If you're really struggling for some, like, double hydro that can heal the team, you can. I don't think anybody would really, but you can. Oh, Fremene's kind of stuck being a DPS that's kind of physical. But his damage is not bad, though. I guess that's the one thing kind of saving Fremene is his damage isn't necessarily bad, actually. If you actually take the time to build up a Fremene, it's really not that bad. It's really not that bad. It's not amazing or anything like that, but it's not that bad. Let's do a character that's, like, really good but not insane. Character I would put in S, but not S plus. Like Shinobu. I think Shinobu's a good poster for that. Yeah, one of the best Hyper Bloom characters. That's it, and that's all she needs to be. That's all she needs to be. She's actually quite annoying to play sometimes because of the way her healing works. Sometimes she doesn't heal herself that well, and you can sometimes get clipped if you don't have C6, and then she dies in a restart. Um, but that doesn't hopefully happen too often to you. But yeah, she's the Hyper Bloom bot, and she's really good. And you just need to build EM, which is very easy to build, and then that's it. She's great. She's great. She's great. Ika is a character. He buffs physical, but physical's not good. So, but at least he has a purpose. I don't know. That's where I would. That's the long and short of what I would say about Mika is that he buffs physical, and I think he buffs attack speed too. But buffing that isn't really. Yeah, and you do need C6 to get a lot of good value out of him. Gaiming's great. He's honestly one of the best 4-star DPSs. Gaiming's good. If you can pair him up with a Cloud Retain, he gets even better. But he's solid. Very solid 4-star DPS, and I think that's all he needs to be. Oh yeah, for the 4 stars, by the way, I think assume C2 for the 4 stars. If they need C6, or if C6 is a big jump, that's a factor to be considered. But assuming C2 for these for these 4 stars. D is fine. Like, yeah, anybody that says D is bad, they're just not either not really playing the game, or like she does still have problems. So I don't think I can put her in a tier with the letter A in it, because man, she has problems. But there's plenty of teams that can use her. You got Nevilet, you got Mualani. There's good teams you can put her in. There's good teams you can put her in. She's fine. She's fine. She's fine. Yeah, anybody that says she's the worst character in the game probably just doesn't play this game very well. But I would agree. If you want to say she's the character with the most issues, I could probably give you that, because like the amount of issues this character has, or inconsistencies, or like illogical C's that she just has is like numerous. They're legitimately numerous. The amount of problems and issues and inconsistencies that she has. But she's fine. She's literally fine. The thing with Yao Yao is that her Dendro app is like decently slow. It's not bad. Like, she's definitely not a bad character. But a little someone called Dendro Traveler is around the corner. And when Dendro Traveler bursts, that burst does really, really good application. She's a solid character. She has good Dendro application. Her heals are good. That's it. Yeah, I mean, yeah. She does her job well, but she doesn't do her job insane. I skamaz 3 people with the Mavwika thing. That's keep the count. Keep the count. I got 3 people with the Mavwika. I'm telling you guys, putting Mavwika right here is the best thing ever. I got 3 people already. I already got 3 people with it. The characters are not ranked within the tier. They are not ranked within the tier. I might rank within the tier for S plus later, but right now they are not ranked within the tier. So this is gonna be my representation of Dendro main character. Yeah, Dendro main character is great. Dendro main character is fantastic. She is great. Her application is a lot better than Yao Yao, especially if you make them work towards it. She can't heal, obviously, but yeah, it just depends on what you need. But fantastic character, especially because everybody has this character. That makes her very valuable as well. Dendro application is good, very easy to play, very easy to get particles, very easy to burst. I think Nilu should be way higher. Nah. Bloom has fallen off. Bloom has fallen off hard. It's one team. She only has Bloom, and Bloom is definitely not as good as it used to be. And not many people are even playing Bloom. Malvika's not niche, what? She only works good with Natlan characters? That's not true at all. No, that's not true at all. You do not need Natlan characters to play Malvika. Not at all. She's clunky without them or C1? No, she's not. She's not. She literally is not. That's not true at all. It's okay. You don't need the full charge burst. You genuinely do not need the full charge burst. Anybody that says you need the full charge burst probably doesn't play this game very well. You do not need the full charge burst. If you get the full charge burst, it's really strong, but you do not need it. If you play her without Natlan characters, you just can get half charge and it's fine. It's literally fine. You don't need the C1 either. You do not need the C1 either. This list is assuming C0R1, by the way. This list is assuming C0R1. The hit against Malvika. It's because what is it? It's I swear it's because these like YouTubers be like, oh, if you don't have a Natlin character, you can't get the full charge. She's not doing the insane damage, blah 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, I guess you're not hitting the insane number she can hit, but you're still hitting very strong. And you can just play her off field. You can also just play Mavwika off field too. This isn't just DPS Mavwika; it's also off field Mavwika, which is also insane. Also, you can just use Kachina or Pyro Traveler. Pyro Traveler's right here. Because my actual reasons for saying she's perfectly fine is I've seen her damage without any Natlin characters, which is a good team, and she hits really hard, and she's very strong. And you can just play her off field as like a Shunling. You can play her as a Shunling with Cinder City, which is one of the best buffing sets. What do you mean right now? What are we saying here? What are we saying here? This is crazy. People assume the best out of the best. No, people are assuming things based on what like these random YouTubers say, and these random YouTubers being like, "Oh, you need this certain thing if you want to like hit these crazy insane numbers as a DPS." Bro, you can play her DPS. You can also just play her as like a Shunling with like Cinder City. Like that is on its own. I would still put that probably pretty high. But the fact that you can do her as like a Shunling with Cinder City and just like a good DPS, 100,000,000,000% she would be up here. You do not need C1 or a Natlin character. If you have at least one Natlin character, she is insane, but you can use her perfectly fine without a Natlin character. As long as you're doing your rotations well and you give her a good team, you'll literally be fine. Because the random mains know so much about the game. I love it when people like complain about something and then don't explain why. It's so good. And then when I explain why, people just get mad at me. And he did get better with like Shallonen, for example. Because he does have like crystallized shields. I think you can definitely argue you put Linny up. I would say so. Miko's an interesting one. There's nothing bad about Miko, but over time, she's like very similar to Emily in a way. She's really strong, but are you really ever choosing Miko? And especially when Ororon is a character that exists in the video game. And I was not versed with her. She kind of has a Dia problem in the sense of just like the way her turrets work. The fact that the turrets get consumed is kind of rough. And it does take a bit of a time to place them. Is she better in Dendro? She's great in Dendro. I don't know if better, but like Fischl is better for Aggravate, so it's kind of it's weird. It's a weird one. She's not bad. Like nothing about her is bad. Her damage is great. She has free-to-play options if you want free-to-play options. Play her in Aggravate, she's good. You can play her in Hyper Bloom, it's fine. You can just play her in teams that just need other elements, like Nivilet or Chaska. You can splash her into a bunch of things, and she'll do good damage, but, like, nothing really brings her above, I guess. I can't think about Ororon, but doesn't he do a different niche for her? Kind of, but the thing is he has Cinder City as an option. Like, Cinder City existing for him does put him, like, that's like the it thing that puts him above. Sethos? Sethos is an interesting one. Yeah, he's fine. Play him with some Dendro comps going on. I wouldn't really put him super high, but he's chill. I wouldn't put him as good as Gaming. I think Gaming's definitely better. He's a suitable 4-star DPS. Suitable. Tainari, he's really good. Dendro DPS is good. Decently easy to build, plenty of good options. But he's good. No, he's good. He struggles with groups? Not struggles, but he's definitely less effective in groups versus like single target. Single target, he does really well actually. But yeah, no, I would you could put him right here. I think that's fair. He's good. He's great. Fantastic. Alhaitham's really good. Alhaitham's really good. Very easy to play, great free-to-play builds, plenty of teams to go into. Yeah, he's a great DPS. He's great. Yeah. I mean, yeah, he's fantastic. There's nothing much else to say, right? He's fantastic. Hyperbloom team is good with him. You can do Aggravate team with him. His damage is really good. There's plenty of free-to-play options. Yeah, he's great. I don't know if he would be plus, though. Oh, Siegewine's a weird one, dude. She's a weird one. Yeah, I mean, you're not really doing too much with her. She has one team in Farina, and then that's it. The fact that she's 5-star actually makes it worse. You want to be honest with you? I might put her down here. I'm gonna keep it real. I think I'm gonna put her down there. She really does not do anything, huh? She just kind of heals. Even that bubble thing takes a while to cast, and that's like a problem. Speaking of another character that's kind of cooked, Kaveh. Yeah, Kaveh's around, kind of. Yeah, I mean, he's like He everything I said about Nilu, but a little bit worse. Why did they make him Claymore? I don't know why they made him Claymore. Why did they make him Claymore, not Catalyst? I don't understand. He makes blooms stronger, and the blooms he makes is stronger, but why is he a Claymore character? Also, Bloom is also not that good anymore. That's what I said about Nilu. Oh, oh, Kaveh, what do they do to you, buddy? Why is he Claymore? That's literally the worst weapon they could have given him. He could have any other weapon. Literally any other weapon in the video game would have been better than Claymore, and they gave him the worst one. He needs Claymore to delete people's items in co-op. Fun fact about that, by the way. By the time the video's released of that happening, it was already fixed. And also, the people who even made those videos in the first place were the people doing the thing. The dongle, alright. The dongle's still good to this day. Still the strongest shield. See, Lolly's shield comes very close, but your boy's is still the strongest. Still universal shred. I mean, I'm gonna keep him up here. Maybe a little bit more of a hot take these days. I definitely think he's come down, and I think he's even down in the usage charts. Although, no, wait, this is different. This was Geo. Okay, this is kind of cheating, because this Abyss was Geo-specific. You can put him on every single team in existence, and he's having value. You get the super armor, right? You get the super armor. You have the universal shred. Nothing about that is bad, and it's very good. It's very good. I still think I would put him up here. I gotta make the screen a little bit smaller now because I put Zhongli on here. I still think I would put him up here. Maybe this is a hot take by this day and age. In terms of modern Genshin, maybe putting Zhongli this high is a hot take. But listen, you can slap him on any team, and he does universal shred and super armor. Omega easy to build. Like, he's chilling, bro. He's chilling. Yeah, Dory's a weird character. He does have a job, which is giving people recharge. I don't know if that job is a good job, but it's something. I don't know. Good ideas, Yiker's execution. Yeah, they just should have made her more forgiving. They made Budget Raiden, but worse, I guess. If people could just run Favonius, like, that's the answer. Yeah, we can rank Klee. She's good in speedruns, I guess. Would that put her down here? That's all she has going for her. She's good in speedruns. Which is something. That is something, to be honest with you. If you watch a Genshin speedrun, like, Klee is gonna be there. Klee is gonna be there in a speedrun. Razor's not too shabby. Razor's got some teams. He's fine. He's decent. He's got some teams. You can do a little bit of elemental soup. A little bit of elemental soup Razor. Little bit Hyper Bloombergian nonsense, a bunch of stuff. Razor's chilling. Kachina. She uses Cinder City, and that's good. Yeah. Would I put her there or here? She uses Cinder City, and that's pretty cool. And she's given to everybody. That is also pretty cool. Yeah, I think that's fine. Cinder City is cool. That's it. She just uses Cinder City, and that's cool. I don't think there's really anything else to say about her. Candace got better with time. Because, like, doesn't, like, Farina make her pretty good? Definitely better. Definitely better than she was before, for sure. How much of it is locked behind Constellation, though, is the big question. I'll lock behind C6. Yeah. For 4 stars, we assume C2. For 4 stars, we assume C2. Or I'll give you up to C2. Yeah, maybe, C6, maybe up here or here. But, yeah. Needing Constellations definitely limits you. I think Ayato is pretty good. I like Ayato more than the average person likes Ayato. So I'd personally put him right here. Me myself. Maybe that's a hotter take. I think maybe some people would put him a little bit lower. But I think he's very easy to play. He's got a bunch of team options. You can do Vaporize. You can do Hyper Bloom with Silali. Now you can do Freeze. Now Freeze is an option. And he's just easy to play. You just burst, and then you press E. You press and hold E. Like, he's probably the easiest character to actually, like, play and execute with. Ayaka's, like, Okay. I don't know. I would put her under Risley. This is my main point of reference. I think the fact that she's kind of like an all-in-one go type of character would make her a little bit lower because it's just like you either hit the burst or you miss the burst. And even then, Cryo's in like a bad spot. Insane weapon though. True. 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 Her weapon is great. Her damage is good. It's fine. Set up a nuke. If you miss the nuke, you cry, and that's it. Listen, man. This is probably maybe my bias is speaking. Maybe my bias is speaking right now. I still think Raiden is S plus. I think she has some absolutely fantastic teams she can play. I think you can play her perfectly fine as like free to play. If you can play her premium, that's still really good. C0R1, I do think is really good with her. She doesn't necessarily need any constellations. If you get some on her, it's really good. I know a lot of people be like, "Oh, you need C2." You don't need C2. If you know how to play Raiden, I think the trick with Raiden is knowing what she's doing for your team. Raiden individually on her own is not doing too much. But Raiden, with the characters you can put her with, makes like perfect teams. The point of Raiden is that you make the perfect rotation. A, and then B, you can cut down on some recharge to get more crits or get more attacks and make the team universally stronger because Raiden is rotating them so perfectly. But I think the problem is a lot of people play Raiden like traditional DPS. Like, let's say they play Raiden like Arlecchino, or they play Raiden like Clorand or Anavia, where like they make her like a traditional type of like hyper carry type of DPS, and it doesn't necessarily work for what Raiden is trying to accomplish. Raiden is accomplishing really good damage while also making the team rotation perfect. That's what she's doing. And if you play her towards that, you need to look at the team damage and not like individual damage. I do think her individual damage is definitely a lot lower than some other C0 R1 characters. Like, for sure, her personal damage is a lot lower than like Clorand and like Navia and like Kanich, for sure, right? For sure, her personal damage is a lot lower than these other guys. But what she provides is perfect rotations, and she's in a lot of teams. You can play her in National. She's one of the best characters for National. You can play her in Chevra's Overload. Chevra's Overload, she is absolutely insane. You don't even need C6 Chevras. You just need Chevras to be there, and she's insane. With Malvika coming out, she also got better. With Shalonen coming out, she got better. With Farina coming out, she became better. You can play her in Double Hydro. Double Hydro came out last year with Fontaine, with like Raiden, Farina, what is it? Raiden, Farina, Yalan, and like Jean / Cloud Retainer, and that's ridiculous as well. I think Malvika also opened up some teams for her. She's great. She's fantastic. I think her universality and like using her effectively, she can definitely be in the plus here. I think she's X because her impact isn't as crazy as it used to be, similar to like Zhongli, but maybe a little bit worse. Since I don't think a lot of people struggle with energy issues nowadays. It definitely depends, for sure. But I think if you're using her the most optimally, if you're using her the most optimally, it's like really, really good, and I don't think many people do that. And B, as more characters get released with bursts, she gets better. Like, she's gonna be a character that's always getting better regardless of what's happening, unless they make more characters like Malvika, which Malvika doesn't have a normal burst. She has like another type of burst. Unless they keep making characters like Malvika, and even then, Malvika's actually really good with Raiden. So it's not even that they have anti synergy. They kind of have anti synergy in that aspect, but she just keeps getting better with time. She's really, really keeps getting better with time. You can, and she also buffs burst too. She makes burst stronger, which not many characters do that. I think she's the only one actually that can actually buff bursts. That's also an important factor that she has. I think she's not the best at one of the like any of the individual jobs that she do wouldn't make her S plus, but I think the fact that she does them all together is what makes her S plus. She's not the best Electro DPS. There's plenty of other better Electro DPSs. Like you said, building recharge isn't as important as it was before. What is it? Her being a burst buffer isn't like that alone wouldn't put her up here, but the fact that she has all of those together in a character that also does good damage, I think would keep her up here. Is for me. And she can do hyper bloom. Yeah, that too. She's also like one of the best hyper bloom users. That's also just very true. That's also very, very true. You could also, I don't think many people have done it yet. You could play her as like a Chaska, a little bit focused more on her burst for like a lot of her damage. I haven't seen many people try to do that. You could do that because Chaska's burst is really good. Anyway, She does a lot of jobs, and she does a lot of jobs really well, on top of just having really good damage. And again, like I said, as bursts get better, right? Farina, um, like all these like really, it's Farina, Shallonen with Farina, things like that. Even Chaska and things like that. As burst gets better, she always gets better. So that's why I put it up here. Nahida's ridiculous. Moving on. Nahida's ridiculous. One of the strongest characters in the game. Best Dendro applicator still to this day. Insane EM buffing. Yeah. Insane debuffing. Yeah, Dendro's really good still, and she's the queen of just doing Dendro stuff. There you go. If you're playing Dendro, you're probably playing Nahida. Is there anything else to say about Nahida? She's ridiculous. So let's do Sarah. Sarah is great with C6, and then that's it. Farzin's definitely higher than her. Yeah, same place as Goru. When I started, she buffs attack based on base attack. I thought she was gonna be Bennett too. Wait, who? Oh, Sarah. Like, you can use her as Bennett too, but like, just Bennett's just more universal and more beneficial. Let's look at Layla. I feel like Layla's kind of weird. It's a good shield, and that's kind of it, I guess. She's got a good shield, and that's it. But does that mean anything, that she has a good shield? It is the best 4-star shield. I guess that's true. It is the best 4-star shield. I would not put her in the same space as Kachina Cinder City, though. Or Sino. Or Charlotte. Or Ganyu. Yoimiya. I feel like this about Yoimiya. She's a good single target, and then if you put multiple enemies, she's just kind of crying. But she's pretty good with, like, vaporized things. Like, she's not bad. Her damage is fine. But she doesn't have anything to, like, elevate her, right? At least Xiao has, like, Cloud Retainer to kind of elevate him a little bit higher, but he does need Cloud Retainer. I don't think anything really elevates Yoimiya too hard. Her single target is really good, though. Because Shilonen made her better, yeah. Farina does make her better. And Seat Lolly does make her better, too. I'm actually crying. I don't know, I think that's fine. I'm honestly fine with this. Let's do Arlecchino for real. Arlecchino's fantastic. She is amazing. Minimum here? Very strong. Very good Pyro DPS. You can play her in Melt. You can play her in, like, Mono Pyro. I guess that's my thing of, like, would I want to put her up here or not? Does she have, like, the it factor of, like, she's really supremely good? Or is it more so that a lot of people play her and she's really good? She's really, really strong. Okay, yeah. Yeah, she is really strong. She's really, really strong. She is very, very strong and self-sustaining too, yeah. Shepard is great. Honestly, opening up the Overload team, and the Overload team is just, like, very strong. Very fantastic. Yeah. Shepard is great. You don't even need C6. If you get C6, she becomes insane, but she's already insane before C6. She's already Kazuha before C6, and then after C6, she gets even better. So I get for browsing character modes. Yeah, Shepard is insane. Oh, the Overload team was absolutely fantastic. Just providing was essentially Viridescent for the Overload team, and then on top of that, boosting Pyro and Electro when you get the C6. Insane. Very strong. Can be a little bit more annoying in, like, groups, but only because enemies get bopped away. But that's just a little bit annoying. You can still deal with it perfectly fine. Kirara, I mean, Kirara's okay, right? You can't go wrong with her on, like, an Aggravate team or something like that. I'd probably say the same for Kole, I think, right, overall? She's fine. Because she's Dendro, she's definitely higher than she probably would be without Dendro. I think she does need some constellations to keep up the pace with, like, Dendro Traveler, but she's cool, she's cool. Yunjin, thank you, Yunjin. Or it's kind of like Beidou. It's, like, similar to Beidou, where she does, where she does a thing, and she does that thing really well. But not many people are using the thing that she does. Not many people are normal attacking. Like Yoimiya, yeah, Yoimiya and, like, kind of Ayato, but there's just better options for both Yoimiya or Ayato. She's never the best option. Arlecchino, yeah, I guess you could play with Arlecchino, but there's so many other better options than Arlecchino. Like, even though she buffs normal attacks, she's not the best buffer for normal attacks. Like, all the characters that do normal attack, Yoimiya, Ayato, Arlecchino, there's better team members for them. Like, there's Farinas, there's Bennett's, you know, there's things like that. There's just better things. Shenhe. Fun fact, did you know that Shalonen's C2 is Loki might be better for cryo teams than Shenhua C6? Maybe? Oh, Shenhua. Oh, Shenhua. What to do with you? Okay, I don't know specifically if it's that massive, but Shallonen is really good. Shallonen existing makes this so rough. She is good though for cryo. It's just that cryo is not good. Yeah, I don't think I can go much higher than that. I mean, if cryo becomes good, like it could very easily put her up a little bit higher, but like, yeah, it's rough to justify that. Maybe it's just not able buffer. Maybe she's hard, man. She's hard to put up higher. When I mean, I will say I'm not taking into account Shallonen C2 that much because I did say you assume C0 for the 5 stars. So it's not a huge factor, but it's at least still a thought in the back of my head. Arataki Ito, the one and Oni. He's fine. Geo as an element is not really that good, but he's fine, right? I feel like the biggest thing holding him back is Goru, if that makes sense. I feel like he was made with Goru in mind, but I feel like that's kind of like inhibiting him in a way. The thing is, like, Geo is not very good right now, and the only Geos that are good are not tied to Goru, like Navia or Shallonen and Chiori. But the good thing about Shallonen and Chiori, you can play them as a pair of 2 and not a pair of 3. As soon as you make them a pair of 3 because of Goru, it gets a lot worse. It gets a lot. If you could play Ito as a pair of 2, like Ito Shallonen and something else, and he was still like really effective, I think that'd be really nice. But I don't know if you can do that. Sure, he helped him a bit as well, but not too much. Yeah, yeah, he's kind of suffering out here. He's kind of suffering. Maybe we need charge attack buffers now. Charge attack buffers. Okay. Toma. Toma's fine. I don't think he's in many teams. He's chill though. I don't know. Toma's fine. You can use him in Burgian, I guess. He's and Spyrap is not. Yeah, not bad. It's an okay Pyrap. I don't know. Sayu. You know what I do. Sayu's okay. Viridescent. Healing, so at least better than Lynette. That's it, I think, right? Viridescent and she could heal. But that's pretty good. That's a pretty good thing. And to finish it off with the final new character that's not Lanyan, because I don't know what she does, we got the Pyro Traveler. He can use Cinder City, and that is a good thing. And he's got a tiny bit of buffing. I mean, that's Kachina. I mean, he is just Kachina, right? If I'm gonna put Kachina here for that, I'll put him here for that too. He can buff a bit? Okay, yeah. So he's Kachina that can do a little bit more buffings. And Pyro, so you can do some Pyro trigger stuff too, if you need Pyro trigger stuff. And he has a burst nuke you can build towards if you kind of want to do that. I don't know how effective it's going to be, but Chi-Chi doesn't do too much, that's fair. Chang'e doesn't do too much, that's fair. Amber doesn't do too much, that's fair. Oh, shoot. Aloy doesn't do too much, that's fair, but they're all still usable, so they're D. Xinyan, at least you can put it with Mualani and things like that. Same thing with Kaya. He has a pretty good cryo app, but no one's really using this. I don't know what Shajuin is doing. She can at least heal, I guess. That's it. I don't know what she's doing. Kaveh is Bloom Booster. He does it okay, but why is he Claymore? And yeah, Bloom is not really that good anymore. Dory, she's recharge support, but recharge support isn't really useful. Ningguang is just Geo DPS. It doesn't do too much, but I guess you can kind of use her with Navia for Copium. Okay. Yunjin, normal attack booster, but nobody's really using that too much. Razor's pretty okay. 4-star DPS. C6, you can play him really well on a bunch of different teams. Klee is always used in speedruns. That's it. That's the only reason she's up here is because people use her in speedruns. Seta, similar to like Razor, where they're like just kind of like a good 4-star DPS, then that's it. Same with Fremine. They're all just kind of good 4-star DPSs, and that's it. Barbara, you can use in a couple different things. She heals, Hydro app, it's fine. Mona, she's screenshot DPS. That's all she does. It's just screenshot DPS. Candace, excuse me. Oh my gosh. Candace, fine. Maybe you can put her up here depending on if she's C6 or not, but there's a couple Hydra teams you can use her with, but she's never like the best option. But she's pretty solid, but you do need constellations. Same thing with Noelle. Noelle can be really good, especially with Farina, but you do need that C6, so there you go. Tayona, what is it? Jack of all trades, master of none, shielding, healing, cryo application, but none of those are really super valuable right now that you would really want her. Kind of similar to Rosaria. Rosaria has great cryo app, and she does. She's very flexible to use, but who's using cryo app? Very similar to Beto. Beto does electro charge really nicely. She bounces her burst between enemies and it's pretty strong, but nobody really needs that right now. I said healing. I said healing. Albedo. Albedo got power crept by Chiori. He gives EM, I think. I don't know if he gives EM at C0, but his damage is okay, I guess. He's off fielding stuff, but he got power crept by Chiori. Yanfei. You can do tank Fei, but that is C4 and we're assuming C2. What is it? You can make her DPS. I mean, you can make a bunch of characters DPS, but she's fine. She's fine. Kole, she's Dendro. You can make her support the team with like Dendro stuff. Constellations make her better. So down here, Kirara, kind of similar. You can put her in a bunch of Dendro teams, and she's good because she's Dendro. There you go. Layla has a pretty good shield. She has some cryo app, but it's not the cryo app is not that good. But her shield is really strong. Sarah is useless until C6, but C6 she's very powerful. So there you go. Toma, he does kind of Burgian stuff. He has an okay shield. You can use him in some places, and he's just kind of okay. Gaming is a really good Pyro 4-star DPS, and you get him to C6, he's really amazing. Mika, I guess, supports physical, but who's playing physical? But he supports attack speed too. Lisa, you can put her in a couple different Dendro teams. She has like a decent defense decrease, and she's a catalyst, so you can use Dragon Slayer. It's chill. Lynette uses Viridescent. Hazo uses Viridescent, and you can kind of do DPS stuff with him. Goru, he's a pretty good buffer, but you really do need C6 to make him a really good buffer, and Geo with Goru is 3 Geo, and that's not really that good. But there you go. Venti is the king of trash mobs, but who the heck is fighting trash mobs? Eula is just fine. She does pretty good damage. It's kind of awkward to play her, but her damage is still fine. D-Luke has some pretty decent builds now. There's some good characters that support him, like Cloud Retainer. He's just fine. He's fine. He clipped it. Sayu, she swirls and she heals. Good enough. Ito, he does okay damage, but he's Geo, and Geo's in a weird spot right now. Similarly to Shenhua. Shenhua buffs Cryo. Cryo's in a weird spot right now. Also, kind of, Shalonen is a better Cryo supporter in a way. Kind of, but it's rough. Yoimiya. Really good single target DPS, but she struggles with multi-target, and she's pretty basic, and there's just better characters than her, and she kind of struggles. Pyro Traveler can run Cinder City, has a couple of buffs, and has some Pyro off-field, and he has a little Pyro nuke. It's fine. It's cool. It's chill. Cinder City's great. Kachina uses Cinder City. There you go. Dia has a bunch of like little support builds you can do. She's kind of clunky to play, but you can do things like Mulan and Neuvillette with her, and she's fine. She's chill. Nilu, you can play Bloom, and Bloom is just okay, and it's fine. You know what? I'll bump up Nilu a little bit. I'll give Nilu the A-. Why not? She is. I would not recommend anybody play the Bloom team, but it's still decently strong. It doesn't really keep up compared to some other things, but sure, I'll put her up a little bit. Sino. Sino's pretty strong, but you do need some premium characters to play a Sino. He does pretty good damage. Yeah, there you go. Promoted. Charlotte can heal the team, really good with Farina. Cryo app, but cryo app doesn't matter too much. Ganyu is just Ganyu, and she does fine damage. She got buffed by Dendro because you can do burning and keep a fire aura on enemies, and her damage is fine. It's just fine. Yeah, I already said about Nilu. Ayaka is the dual burst. If you hit the burst, you do good damage. If you miss the burst, you cry. Even then, her burst isn't super strong. It's strong, and that's it. It's just strong. Miko, her turrets are just kind of strong, but there's kind of better characters that does what she does a little bit better, but she's still pretty strong. Dendro Traveler is insane. Dendro app is great. They're free character, everybody. Dendro application is really good. Yao, same thing. Dendro application is really good, and she's really good for free to play. I think her Dendro application is a bit lower than Traveler, but she can also heal, and then that's cool. Kuching is getting a lot of buffs. She always gets buffs. You can play her in a couple different teams if you commit yourself to her. She can kind of be a weird to play and kind of confusing, but she does have a lot of help. Like almost every patch. She's cool. She's fine. You could maybe put her lower, but it depends. But I have seen a lot of Kuching and see what she's capable of, and she's pretty solid. Kokomi. You can also put Kokomi on a bunch of teams, but none of the teams she's in, she's really the best in. She's a healer that does a lot of heals, but that doesn't really cut it these days. I mean, you use her with Farina, but like almost every healer you can use Farina, and even then, something like the jellyfish doesn't catch up to like what people do with healing these days, like Baizu, for example. Baizu does a better healing than she does, but she's not bad. She's fine. We got Xiao here. Xiao is decently strong. He needs Cloud Retainer to really be really, really good. If you can get him with Cloud Retainer, you can get really, really, really good stuff and really, really good benefits out of his damage. But you really do need Cloud Retainer. He is tied to the hip to Cloud Retainer. He needs Cloud Retainer to do his good damage. So yeah, I can't put him too high because of that. Farazan, best Anemo buffer. That's it. You don't need her at C6. You can use her at any constellation. You just need more recharge. That's why she's above characters like Sarah or Goro. Farazan's great. Emily just does really good geo damage. There's not too many teams that really want Emily, but Emily's damage is good. She could be better in the future, but that's it. Does Dendro damage? Her damage is good. Ayato, pretty good Hydro DPS, very easy to play. That's it. You can run him in a bunch of teams, and he's good. Did I say Geo damage? I meant Dendro damage. Sorry, Emily Dendro damage. Tainari, really good single target Dendro damage. Standard characters, so he's a little bit more available compared to some other characters. Pretty good teams you can play with him with Aggravate. Yeah, single target, amazing. Struggles a little bit with the groups though, but he's not bad against groups. Yeah, Emily does Dendro, my bad. Linny also does really good pyro damage. It's kind of hard to play Linny because you need to play Linny with 3 pyro, but if you can play Linny with 3 pyro, he's great. Sometimes he's can be difficult to play, but we assume optimal play here. So if assuming optimal play, I think, yeah, Linny's good. Risley, don't listen to the people that say you need to play Risley at C1. You can play Risley at C0. It's fine. Just make a good team for him. That's it. If you can play Hu Tao at C0, you can play Risley at C0. It's fine. It's literally fine. His damage is just play Risley. He's good. It's fine. He's fine. He's good. Tartaglia is also very good. Sometimes he can be difficult to play, but he's one of the best characters for National. He's really strong still, and yeah, go play National with him. Baizu's great. Boost Dendro reactions. He can heal the party. He makes a shield, even though the shield isn't very strong. He's pretty good. He's solid. Dendro is good. He is good. Dendro is good and he is good. There you go. That's it. Jean is absolutely fantastic. Jean is one of the best characters for Farina. She can boost up Farina immediately and is Viridescent. To be honest, now that I'm looking at it more, I might even put her up. I think I'll put her up. To be honest, I'm gonna put Baizu up too. I'll put both her and Baizu up. But yeah, they're really good. They're really good. Boost up Jean. What is it? Yeah, Jean can do Viridescent. What's with Farina? She's good. They're both good. They're both good. I might honestly bump Sucrose down, actually. I might bump Sucrose down. I'll bump Sucrose down a little bit. Not that Sucrose is bad. Sucrose is great. You can swirl the enemies. You can share EM. Her gathering can be pretty good. She's cool. She's good. She's good. Bring him back down. Alright, we'll put Baizu back down. Okay. We got Wanderer here. Wanderer is good DPS. You can play him on a bunch of different teams. You can play him in groups. You can play him against single target. Sometimes he can be difficult to play, but again, you assume optimal play. Wanderer good. He good. Sucrose is cute. Sucrose is cute. You know who's also cute? Fischl. Fischl's great. Best Aggravate character. What she provides for Aggravate is absolutely supremely insane. Very strong, very powerful, very easy to play, very easy to build. She's great. Fischl good. I can't believe. Hey, Izmi. Chiori is absolutely fantastic. A little bit more of a rare character, but her damage is great. You can do the wheelchair comp with her plus Shalonen. Very powerful. Good off-field damage. Pretty flexible. That's it. Kanich is cool. He's very annoying to play. I hate playing him personally, but objectively he is a very strong character. Very good DPS. I think Burning needs a little bit more support for it to be better, but he himself is a very good and very strong character. Yeah, that's it. If you play him outside of Abyss, you're gonna maybe cry, but inside Abyss, where everything is flat plane and flat ground, he's very powerful. But he's very frustrating too, because sometimes he'll jump out of like Bennett Burst and things like that, but whatever. He's good. Hu Tao has stood the test of time. She's still very powerful. Player and Vaporize, mostly with Shinkyu or Yelan, or you can play with Freeze now with Lali probably. Yeah, Hu Tao's fantastic. Very strong, very powerful still to this day. There you go. Chevres is redonkulous. You play the Chevres build, overload build with Chevres is insanely powerful. If you get constellations, she gets even better, but you don't really even need constellations. She's still insane. Super crazy. Shinobu, Hyperbloom Queen. She stands there and activates Hyperbloom. Sometimes she might die, but Hyperbloom's great and it's easy to build her. Auroron is like Fischl, but he can run Cinder City, and that's a good thing because Cinder City is ridiculous. Good off-field damage. If you play him in Electro Charge, you get some like benefits, but I mean he's just Fischl with Cinder City, and that's good. You can do the Granny Hu Tao build, probably. Alhaitham is fantastic. His Dendro builds are really good. You can play Aggravate, you can play Hyperbloom. He does a lot of good damage, and he's fantastic. Navia, I think she's the best. Yeah, the best Geo DPS right now. You can play her in a bunch of different teams. She's not forced to be three Geo character like Ito is, because of the way that she functions. She forces Geo to be good, and she's great. She's fantastic, very powerful. Similarly, Clorand is very, very powerful. You can play her in a bunch of different teams. You got the Overload, you got Aggravate, you got Hyperbloom. Very strong, very powerful, really good, just great DPS, just great. Cloud Retainer, absolutely fantastic Cloud Retainer. She can heal the whole party. She enables plunge. You don't need to use the enabling plunging. You can just use her as a healer that has a catalyst weapon, so you can do things like Dragon Slayer or something like that. Especially with Farina existing, Cloud Retainer is absolutely fantastic, and again, enabling those plunge attackers, it's so good. Yeah, fantastic stuff. Okay, we got the Jongle Dongle. To this day, still good to universally have the best shield and universal shred. Shield is still really good, and he's still great. And you should use him if you have him. He's fantastic. But there are definitely better characters than him. I've got Seat Lolly here. I think maybe in the future she could probably be bumped down, but she's really good. She has a shield that's almost as strong as Zhongli's. She enables Pyro and Hydro characters to do a lot more damage. She does pretty good damage herself, and yeah, she's great. She's great. It takes 6 patches from get to 10 from 0. 10. We got Chaska here. Chaska, very good, very good character. The most flexible character in the game, and in terms of team building, in terms of DPSs, she is the most flexible character in the game. Period. No argument. Period, no argument. She is the most flexible character in the game. I think maybe realistically I would put her down to S at some other time, but I'm gonna give her the S plus just because she is the most flexible DPS character. She's great. She's a Nemo, but she's not a Nemo DPS. She's universal DPS because she does all the elements, and she's fairly strong. And you can play with a bunch of different teams. And she's really strong. That's it. Mualani is the queen of the one shots. The numbers that this character can make is absolutely redonkulous. I don't know how they're gonna make a stronger single hit character than this character, but yeah, she has the strongest single hits in the game. And that goes to say something. She struggles a little bit against groups, but she has the strongest single hit in the game. So there you go. Arlecchino, I think, is the best of the super solid characters. She's just very solid. She has a bunch of different teams. Sometimes she could be difficult to play because of her HP mechanic, but yeah, she's just super solid overall. There's no really bad points about her, except if you mess up as a player, it's gonna be a little bit worse, but that's not her fault. Shilonen is redonkulous. She's a side grade of Kazuha at C0, and C2 she becomes one of the best universal supporters in this entire game. She's like Zhongli, but like on insanity. she's like Zhongli insanity when you get her past C2. But this is just C0 R1, so she's just insane. She's a side grade to Kazuha, and Kazuha is coming up next. Still super powerful, still super insane. Verdesting all the elements. Best gathering character in the game. Good damage, good swirling. Great. He's good. He's still very good to this day. Side grade to Shilonen, unless she gets constellations, then he's better. I mean, she's better than him, but without constellations, they're pretty equal. Yelan is still really ridiculous to this day. Get the dice out, get the Hydro app, get the good damage, get the damage buff. Crazy, powerful. Yeah, she's good. She good. Nahida, still greatest Dendro character in this game. Dendro application off the roof. EM buffing off the roof. Very easy to play. Many free to play options. Best Dendro app. Insane. Shinkyu, you're not losing Shinkyu. Shinkyu is still one of the best characters in this game still. His Hydra app is amazing, and it's also the perfect timing for some characters. It's even faster than Yelan's Hydra application, and his damage is still really good. He's not going anywhere anytime soon, and so neither is Shunling. Shunling is going nowhere. Oh my goodness, is the Pyro Archon going to power creep Shunling? Even if she did, Shunling would still be used by everybody because she's Shunling. Shunling is redonkulous. She ignores internal cooldown of reactions, and she does so much damage. It's insane. The worst part about Shunling is building Shunling because Shunling does so much damage. She's insane. That's it. Bennett, still insane. One of the best characters in this game. He got better with Malvika coming out because he buffs Malvika. There's so many characters in this game, and Chaska too. And maybe Mulanni, depending on how you build your team. If you build it with Shunling, but whatever. Anyway, Bennett's great. Good recharge, good healing, insane buffing. He's great. Raiden is fantastic, very strong DPS. A lot of people don't know how to play her that well. The key with Raiden is that she makes the perfect rotations. She's the only burst buffer in the entire game. What is it? Any time a good burst comes out, Raiden gets better. There are so many different teams you can play Raiden in. You can do hyper carry, you can do overload, you can do double hydro. Like, she can be kind of difficult to build and how to figure out how to build her, but if you can build her well, she's absolutely fantastic. Makes your rotations very clean, does super strong damage, and is burst buffing. And you can play her Hyper Bloom too. You can also just play her in Hyper Bloom as well. She has so many different drops, so many little different things that she can do. She's fantastic. Neuvillette, personally, I would say Neuvillette is still the strongest DPS in this game. Insane damage, insane range, good for grouping, good for groups, good for a single target DPS. Yes, he's just the top. He's just the top of the DPS chain. Farina, probably the best buffer in the game. Really good off-field damage. Insane buffing. Good off-field DPS. Arguably, probably the best character in this game. I think if someone made that argument, if she's the best character in this game, gameplay-wise, like, yeah, I could easily see the time where she would be the best. Yeah, Farina's fantastic. And then finally, Malvika, newest character. Malvika's great. Her off-fielding is very powerful. You do not need to play her with that many Natlan characters. You just need to play her with one Natlan character, and she'll get her burst to full every single time. You can play her with 0 Natlan characters aside from her, and she can still work. Don't listen to people that say, oh, but you need a Natlan character. You do not need a Natlan character. As long as you're playing her well, you know what you're doing, and you know how to team build, you'll literally be fine. You will literally be fine. She is insanely powerful. And again, ranking this on C0R1, that weapon is so strong, and it will buff her so much. If people are saying you need a Natlan character to play her, no, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. Yeah, and there you go. And there you go. That is the full list. With all the reasonings. I stand by this. I think some of the middle parts, I think you can like bounce around a little bit, but in terms of like, if we're thinking about these two tiers being closer together, right? Like the S's are together, all the A's are like together, all the B's are together. I think definitely at least that. One more glance at the S plus to see how I like it. Neuvillette and Farina, you can interchange them, but I feel like putting Neuvillette ahead for right now. Nahida right behind, I like that. Actually, it's a hot take to put. No, I think I'm just seeing a lot more non-Dendro teams, but that doesn't mean Dendro's bad. Dendro's still insane. I think I'm just seeing a lot more of like Shallonen teams, but that's just because I think it's recency bias. I'm gonna keep Nahida right there. Nahida's good here. Shallonen and Kazuha are interchangeable as well. Bennett. Yeah, I'll put Bennett there. Like maybe sometimes you can put him a little bit lower, but I'm fine putting him there. Malvika right here. I think I like that. Very similar to Bennett, has some benefits that Shunling has without needing to worry about recharge, and she can do really good on-field DPS and really good off-field DPS as well. Yelan's insane, Mulanni's got the insane one-shot, Arlecchino's just very good overall. Raiden has a bunch of different jobs she can do really well, especially if you play her optimally. Shinkyu, very good Hydra application and damage. Chaska, a very, very strong DPS and the most flexible character in the entire flexible DPS. Cool. Yeah, I feel good about this. Zhongli's at the bottom. I think these two can also interchange. I'll keep Zhongli in the back though. Shunling right here. Don't worry about recharge, so not super high. Chaska right here, yeah. Yeah, I feel good. Okay, cool. This is the list. Alright, we're not done yet. One more thing. Now, we have to trigger people, because if I make this a YouTube video, people are going to scroll to the end and then be like, oh my goodness, I can't believe you put... So we have to make the perfect list to trigger people. So definitely put Malvika in the front above Farina because that triggered people very nicely. Um, I gotta put Shao. Actually, wait. Before I do that, let me take a screenshot of this so I can have what my rankings are solidified. Save or download? Download image. Yeah, I want to save the image of what I actually think before I trigger people. Yeah, Shao definitely has to go down. Shao has to go down to like next to Diluc. That'll really trigger them. If Shao is next to Diluc, yeah, that'll get him. And Eula, yeah, these three need to be together. Diluc, Shao, Eula, they need to be together. Baizu up. Sure, I'll put Baizu up for the memes. You triggered me right there. uh, Catching up? I'll put catching up by like. We gotta be subtle with it. We gotta be subtle with it. I'm gonna put Moalani down because then you can be like, oh, they're hard to play. Who else is like hard to play but really good? I think it's just those two. Wander seems to bother people, is what I've noticed. I'm gonna put him in the same line that Xiao is in because that bothers people. Shalana should move Kazuha lower too. Oh, true. I see what you're saying. Yeah, Kazuha's down here because Shalana's up here. That's a good point. That's a good point. Is Bennett down because C6 is bad? I'll put Bennett in the back of like if people think it's like tiered by whatever. I'll put him in the back. Most people have a problem with Moeka Arlecchino Sims. Oh, true. And you put Arlecchino down by 1. People are gonna get so mad by that. And down by 2 actually. You put Arlecchino right there, next to Hu Tao. Oh, perfect. Next to even right behind Hu Tao. No, in front of Hu Tao, because people will say like, "Oh my gosh, what the heck." Yeah, Yaka up to S plus. No, that's too fake. That's too fake. People are gonna sniff that out immediately. It's not that. Put Ganyu with Ayaka? Oh, true. No, you're actually right. Put Risley right above them too, because that'll bother somebody. I'll put Raiden. If I put Raiden down, they know I'm joking. I have to keep Raiden up because it's my list. If I put Raiden down, they know I'm joking. Put Tartaglia up. I'll put him up by like 1. I'll put him up by like 1 because people will be like, "Oh, Abyss speedruns. Oh, Abyss speedruns." Put Mona up. Okay, I'll put Mona up by 1. Mona and Wanderer chippers. Where is Wanderer? I can't put her up that high. That's insane to put her up that high. I'll put her up a little bit higher. Wait, no, not her. Put her up a little bit higher. So Fischl and Miko. That is pretty good, isn't it? Where is Miko? Legitimately lost her. I might put her lower. Neela triggers people really bad, actually, when you put her too low. I might put her lower. No, Aloy needs to be in D. If I don't put Aloy in D, they know I'm memeing. Like they can't. It needs to be subtle enough. It needs to be subtle. It needs to be subtle. Like the obvious ones, you need to keep where they are. Like Aloy. Aloy's like an obvious one. Like Bennett's like an obvious one. Farina, obviously. Should Gaming be there with Diluc? Yeah, for sure. I'll put him in front of Diluc even. Right in front of Yoimiya. Grab Shanling down? Nah. That's another obvious one. You can't. You can't. It needs to be believable enough. That's the thing. It needs to be still needs to be believable. It still needs to be believable. Okay, there we go. This looks good. Yeah, I actually quite like this. I actually quite like this. I like this. I like this. I like this. I think it's the perfect amount. It's literally the perfect amount. This is good. This is good. Okay. Nice. 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 This is peak. This is peak. This looks really fair. I like it. No, it's actually really good. Unironically, this is really good. I agree with this.